Are you considering studying sociology for A-level? In this video, I'm going to be breaking down what you will learn in sociology in terms of topics, theorists, and all of that, as well as how sociology A-level is assessed, best and the worst things about sociology, in my opinion, and also the future prospects that you'll have if you study sociology. So let's get right into it. So obviously I can't go through every single exam board that does sociology A-level, so I'm going to be referencing AQA Sociology A-level, as that's what I studied back in 2016. Now your board might be a little bit different, the topics and content might be a little bit different, but still this video will give you a really good idea of what you cover in sociology and the sorts of topics that you could be learning. So as you can see from the A-level specification that I have on the screen now, you have compulsory as well as optional topics that your teacher will probably choose for you. When I did A-level back in the day, these are the topics that I did. I did education, methods and context, theory and methods, crime and deviance, and for the optionals, I did culture and identity and beliefs in society. So let's go through them briefly. Firstly, education. We talked about the role and the functions of the education system, as well as how different factors will affect educational achievement, like social class, gender, ethnicity as well, and how relationships and processes within schools, with particular references to teacher-pupil identities, subcultures, hidden curriculum, and the organization of teaching and learning can affect achievement as well. And also we talked about educational policies. So when the Education Act came in, as well as like different dates and things which really influenced how schooling system is done today. And in terms of the topic of crime and deviance, we talked about crime, deviance, social order and control, the social distribution of crime and deviance by ethnicity, by gender and social class patterns. So it's all about patterns, reading into it, not just seeing it by face value, but really digging into why this is happening, and like who decides what is a crime, who is a criminal, who gives that label, who is and isn't worthy of that title. And we also talked about obviously like globalization, green crime, state crime as well, because obviously crime and criminals aren't just limited to the individuals. And yeah, a big part of crime and deviance is also social control, as I said, and also surveillance. So we talked a lot about the panopticon, which was coined by Foucault, which is basically talking about how, because we are always being looked at, we feel like someone's always watching us, then we feel the need to regulate our own behavior. And that's why most of us behave pretty like well. So in terms of culture and identity, we talked about socializations and the agencies of socialization, which includes family, media, religion, etc., etc. And we also talked about how the self and me, like me, myself, and I, the identity of the self is pretty different from what other people perceive us as, which most of us know. But we talked about why this is and how this can be affected by different factors. And the relationship of our identity can be influenced by things such as like our identity status, what identity is, intersectionality of those things, as well as, you know, our relationship to globalization, production and consumption, which is a pretty like postmodern kind of theory. But yeah, you'll really dive into different theories as well. And in terms of subculture, mass culture and popular culture, we talked a lot about that as well, and how they influenced different things in time, different events in society as well. And for beliefs in society, I really enjoyed this topic because it really challenged a lot of ideas I had around like religion, and it just gave a lot of new perspective on things. So we learned about ideology, science and religion, and something that's really important is that like science isn't ideology, it's literally a theory. It's a paradigm through which we see the world, and obviously it's given us a lot of things such as medicine and all of that stuff, but it's really important to go back to the fact that someone created this theory, someone created something called science, and now we live our lives through a paradigm called science. So it's effectively like a religion, but like a secular one, if you see where I'm going. But that was like a mind-blowing fact. I was like, whoa, you know, like this could all be false. Anyway, let's not go into that right now. But we also talked about obviously religion and cults, new age movements, sects, secularization and globalization. So that's all very interesting. And for the less interesting stuff, at least for me, it was less interesting, was the theory and methods and the methods in context. We talked about obviously quantitative and qualitative research methods. We talked about ways to collect data, focus groups, surveys, semi-structured, unstructured interviews, and the relationship between positivism, interpretivism, and different theories, and the nature of social facts, so whether sociology can be a science and all of that, as well as debates about freedom, control, subjectivity, objectivity, and all of that. So yeah, that's not very interesting to me, but you got to learn about it, so I'm telling you about it now. And all this information you can actually find in the link in the description. I will link the A-level specification for AQA in the description. So how is sociology assessed? Now, you can probably already guess that it's essay-based, very essay-based. If you don't like writing, you're probably not going to want to do sociology. So yeah, that's kind of it. And as it stands, I'm looking at the AQA specification specifically. All assessments take place in the second year of learning, so when you're in year 13, and you have 3 papers to sit, which are weighted evenly. You have paper 1, which is education with theory and methods, paper 2, which is topics in sociology, aka your optional topics, and paper 3, which is crime and deviance and theory and methods. And the mark scheme is based on 3 objectives, which I'm literally reading off, which is A01, demonstrate knowledge and understanding of sociological theories, concepts, and evidence, as well as research methods, and A02 is applying sociological theories, concepts, evidence, and research methods to a range of issues. And AO3, which is analyze and evaluate sociological theories, concepts, evidence, and research in order to present arguments, make judgment, and draw conclusions. So AO3 is really where you're going to delve into like different, how different theories view the world and explain in regards to like questions. So if you want to know how to write a sociology essay, head to this video here where I talk all about how to write a sociology essay and go through an example of an essay that I actually wrote with you guys on during the video. So I'd highly recommend you watch that one if you haven't already. So let me preface this next bit by saying this is all my own opinion, but with that said, let's get into what I think are the best and worst parts of sociology. Now, the best part, I think it really opens your eyes to how society really works, like really works, right? Like before I did sociology, I was living in ignorant bliss. Like obviously I knew inequality existed and everything, but I didn't really think about it as such, like too deeply, which obviously speaks to my own privilege, but and how it affects people and society as a whole, right? And like the structural nature of it, I just thought, it's really a shame, but I didn't realize that there were structural roots to it. There were systemic causes. So I always give the example of school uniform in the UK. Now, in the UK, if you didn't know, we have to wear school uniforms for school, and all of us didn't really know why we had to wear uniform, especially for like girls' school. They'd say like you can't wear makeup, you can't dye your hair a certain color, you can't paint your nails. But we were saying like, why is this the case? Like it doesn't affect our learning, it doesn't affect how well we do if we like paint our nails, for example. But it doesn't. It really doesn't. But what it does do is it preps us to be like good workers in the workplace, because we're used to obeying like arbitrary rules and authority without really thinking about it. We'll just be like, okay, that's how it is. Like that's how it is. We just work. We just do our work and we don't roll our skirts up to a certain length, although most people do that anyway. And we don't paint our nails, we don't do outrageous makeup, because that's just how it is. So when we get into the workplace, even when it's like really like nonsensical demands by like higher ups, you just kind of go along with it because we've been conditioned to do this our whole lives anyway. That's just one of the examples that really opened my eyes to how society works and how we've kind of like moved along in the system. So you can already guess what kind of theory this is coming from, which you can learn more about here. But the worst thing, in my opinion, for sociology was that it was a lot of rote learning. And even though the topics and, the theories themselves were really interesting, doing the exams, writing the essays was unfortunately not very interesting. You just had to like learn the dates, learn the names of the theorists, what they did, and there was a lot of just memorizing and relearning again. And it absolutely took away the joy of learning it, in my opinion. Obviously, even though I like went through and did sociology at degree level, I think A level, as with a lot of other subjects, I think just killed like the joy of it. But you know, joy and learning for the sake of learning isn't the point of the education system anyway. So that's that. And for the final segment, let's talk about your future prospects in terms of career if you do sociology for A level. Now, if you're considering sociology, you probably would have thought of these things, or someone would have said them to you, like, why are you doing sociology? Are you going to be a social worker? It's a waste of time. You're only doing it because it's an easy subject. A few things. I did a video on why sociology is considered a soft subject, so you can watch that here if you're interested in learning more about that specifically. But in terms of the other objections to sociology, let me ask you one thing. Are you genuinely interested in sociology? Are you genuinely interested in learning about society, and are you interested in these topics? Because at the end of the day, like, if you are interested, you're going to have no problem studying sociology at all. And as long as you are doing that, something that you are enjoying, you are going to do well. You're going to do fine, right? Because like you're not going to do really badly if you enjoy it, because naturally you're going to want to put more time and effort into studying something that you find interesting. Yeah, so if you have a genuine interest, like, I think ignore the objections. Now, obviously, job prospects is an objection that is valid, because we all want to have a stable job, because that's how ultimately we earn money and live in this society. So yeah, I did a video on the careers you can get for sociology, which you can see here, which I talked all about the salaries, stats, all the most common careers for sociology students. But for me personally, I'm currently in the field of UX design in a fintech company. So it really shows the breadth and the various subjects and careers that you can go into afterwards. And, you know, just because you make a decision for something that you do at A level, it doesn't mean that it's going to dictate what you do for the rest of your life. You still have university if you choose to go to university. You still have degree apprenticeship if you choose to go down that route. You can choose to go straight into a job, and none of that has to be dictated by your A-level choices, unless you know you're going to do a vocational subject, for example, like medicine, or you know exactly what you're going to do. Then I suggest that you obviously go down that route. But if you're not sure, which most people are not sure, like at that time in life when you're 15 trying to make a life decision as it's presented to be, is obviously pretty tough. You're not going to know what you want to do when you're 25 in 10 years time, because that seems a very long time away, and you're going to change, you're going to grow a lot in that time period. So I would say, like, don't stress at all. Like, just pick subjects that you were good at and that you enjoy, and then you'll gradually find out what you like doing and you want to do. Because I had no idea that I wanted to do UX at this point. Back in the day, I thought I was going to go to art school, and then sociology came along and changed that for me. And then I went and did sociology at uni, and I thought I was going to do marketing the entire time. Like, I was like, oh, I'm going to do marketing. I enjoy it, content creation, all that stuff is fun. But then I realized that maybe that's not for me, and I started going to UX design, and that's where I am right now. That could change in the future. So your decision, the decisions that you make, don't hold that much weight as we think it does. Obviously, it does affect where we go, but as I always say, like, don't close doors on opportunities that you haven't even discovered. So, like, if you enjoy sociology, go for it. It could lead you somewhere that you never expected. And yeah, you know, the best things in life are unexpected. So yeah, it really just goes to show that sociology students and graduates can do whatever they want, as I aim to show in this channel. So if you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.